Hello guys, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to be brewing tomorrow an IPA, but I sort of found a base recipe online and then I tweaked it a bit with my very novice hands. And last time I made it, it was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. It was, at the time, it was my best beer to date. And somebody that I gave a couple of bottles to said that he's tried my more recent stuff and he still harks on about this one. A bit of a funny story about the well, not funny, but story about the name. It's called Cheshire Cat IPA because basically I was at work and I was saying to this lad that I was drinking it, and every time I had a drink I'd look round at my wife and grin because I was just so pleased at how it come out. And he said, "Oh, like a Cheshire Cat," and that's where the name came from. So it's ingredients is 5.1 kilograms of Marisota, 800 grams of light Munich, 240 grams of crystal, 110 grams of medium crystal just to give it a bit more colour, and 200 grams of wheat malt to try and sort of give it a bit more head retention stuff. And then we have the hops. We have 8 grams of nugget at 60 minutes for bittering. At 10 minutes, I've got 30 grams of citra and 30 grams of mosaic. And then I'll do a whirlpool for 20 minutes at sort of topped at 80 degrees, just below 80 degrees. And that will be 30 grams of citra and 30 grams of mosaic again. And then the dry hop, the recipe is 100 grams of citra and mosaic on 2 days before bottling, or in this case kegging. I might up that to 150 grams of each. I don't know yet. It's just so bloody good last time, so I don't know whether to leave it the same. I'll decide at the time. Anyway, I've weighed out my water additions, and I'm going to be using, well, I was going to be using Verdant's IPA yeast, but I might use some trub from hornindal yeast that I used a little while ago. Hopefully it's still alright. I'll probably use 3 tablespoons of that. I put some yeast nutrients in at the last 10 minutes of a boil with a protofloc, just to give it a bit of a kickstart. I want it to turn around quite quickly if I can, hence why I'm using the hornindal. And the Verdant IPA will keep. It's in the freezer. It's dried yeast, so yeah. I'll check in with you in the morning. I'm just going to weigh out the grain. Water additions are done. The water's in the kettle with Camden tablet in it to get rid of any chloramine that's in there. And a nice quiet brew day for me tomorrow, I think. Right, I'll catch you all in the morning. Sleep well, and I'll see you soon. Morning, gents and ladies. Right, I'm just at strike temperature, so I'm going to go and get my grain and I'm going to start doing in. I've got all my additions here. I've got the water adjustments, and I got the 60-minute bittering addition, the 10-minute, and the whirlpool. Got all the gear here. Hopefully, it'll be a smooth brew day, and I'll join you in a bit. I'm actually brewing in my sunroom, as the wife now calls it. It was meant to be just an extension to my brewing space, but I like to brew outside, and it's a bit wet today, so I can open the doors, the windows are open, and put some tunes on and brew in here. I'll catch you in a bit. Right, I've all mashed in, got the pump recirculating, and I'm going to take a pH reading. So I'm going to take a sample of the wort. It's been mashing for about 15 minutes. It's just, well, I've said before, loads of people say it, it's just for your record so you can make sure your adjustments are on point. Because you can't alter it now, but you'll know for future. Keep good records and then you should be alright, you'll get there. It's a learning curve and your records really help with that. So just take a little bit from the pump. There we go, more than enough. I'll put that to one side to cool to 20 degrees and then take a reading. Lid back on. I might give it a little stir while we're here. Oh no, I can't in a minute. Right, I'll see you all in a bit. Right, the roof fire alarm's just gone off, so I'm going to start preparing to get onto the boil. I'm going to take a sample before I switch the pump off to my pre-boil gravity. I gave it a stir about halfway through. Right. Pump off. Isolate that one. Clean out the liquid. There it goes, right. Lid down here. I will invest in some sort of decent recirculating outlet at some point. At the minute the pipes seem to do the trick for me. Wash bucket, right. Quite a hefty whack of grain here, there were 6 kilos when dry. I always try to be a bit careful because it'll be quite messy, this one. You get it everywhere, it's sticky wort. Right, that's draining. Plug in my second element, set the first one higher, start bringing her up to a boil. My hands are only a bit moist here and it's commando sockets, so it's pretty safe to play around with. Obviously you don't want soaking wet hands or water getting in there. Right, that one's set for higher. I'll take out my my false bottom in a minute just to protect the bag from the elements. Don't need that in when we're boiling. In that bowl, I'll tip that back into the pot in a moment once it's finished browning. That's the false bottom. That'll wash off in a sec. I'm only draining it really, I'm not trying to get every single drop of water into the kettle, I'm just trying not to drip sticky water all over the kettle. Go in there. Looks like we've got just under 30 litres. Probably because the kettle is a smidgen out, so it's probably about probably 29 litres of pre-boil volume. So that's nearly 6 litres of grain absorption, so that's not bad. It's not bad at all, it's about right. Just over 6 litres of grain and nearly 6 litres of grain absorption. So I don't like this one down the bottom because you don't want to touch the elements. I like to try and put the lid on. So I tie a bit of a knot in it. I just put the lid on until it comes to a boil. And then we'll be ready for our first hop addition. I'll catch you in a bit. Right guys, I've just reached a boil. You see I've got a good hop right there. I'm going to add my bittering addition, which I mentioned earlier. There we go. Leave the lid off now. And let's see how much liquid we lose. I just want to say, I'd like to give a shout out to all the contributors over on the website Homebrew UK, Womble, Clibbit, Pete, Alcoholics, all the guys there that basically pushed me from doing grains, from doing kits to going into all grain. I mean, you guys give me loads of support on that. And there's a really long-winded thread called Budget Brews on there of mine. Basically, I think that probably shows the story of me moving from trying to make cheap beer to trying to make good beer. Not that the cheap beer was that bad, but this is a step up. So I'd like to give a big shout out to you guys. And I'd also like to give a massive shout out to the guys over at the Hop Edition. They've helped me sort of bring my brewing to the next step. And get a bit steamy. Yeah, they've helped me a lot. Chris Millington, he's basically walked me through this build. A lot of research, but those guys, you know, the help's invaluable. Online's such a good resource, and you know, everybody you meet in the brewing world seem to be nice. Very, very few dickheads out there. On the like you get in other platforms, and there's always idiots and trolls, but you don't really seem to get it here, and that's good. And what keeps people brewing is what brings people in, I think. So thank you for that, guys, and I'll see you in a minute on the next edition. Right, we've got 10 minutes left in the boil, so the 10-minute hop edition, 30 grams of mosaic, 30 grams of citra. I got some yeast nutrient in there, and also my protofloc ground up in there. I'm going to put that in my chiller to sterilise it. And I'm going to put the pump on for a little while, just to sterilise that as well, because I'll be putting a whirlpool on, so get the pump nice and sterile. There we go. So I set the hose up for the chiller. I'm got my water barrels up there to collect the hot water, so that I can just store that bit and just rinse things down with it a bit. Got a bit of bicarbonate in there. Everything else is pretty much washed up. Got my whirlpool additions ready to go in on the whirlpool. I missed my pre-boil gravity by 3 points. meant to be 1050 and I got 1047, not 100% certain why. The volumes were pretty much right. I was half a litre short, but then when I went to tip the grain away, there was half a litre left in the bottom of the bowl, so that's where that went. And my pH was absolutely bang on. Brewfather's pretty good at telling you what phosphoric acid to put in there, how much phosphoric acid. Yeah, so I'll see you during the whirlpool, I expect. Right, I'm down to 80 degrees. Put in my whirlpool additions. Got the pump on. Got a bit of a whirlpool going there. And then I'll leave that for 20 minutes and then carry on chilling down. Everything's going alright. A few hops going through the whirlpool, pump by the look of it. See you in a moment. Down to 30 degrees. I'm using hornindal so it can ferment at a much higher temperature. And all-rounder, sterilised, ready to go. I'll make a point of sterilising all around the pump pipe as well, just because it's touching the inside of the fermenting places. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Pumping through, give it some oxygen, ready for that lovely yeast to kick in. And I'll possibly put an update up, if I remember, of when the fermentation starts. So, fairly successful brew day. Hopefully I'll get a good yield out of this, and it'll be as nice as last time. I'll speak to you soon. Morning guys, I got up this morning, this one's fermenting like a good one. Spunding valve's going like hell. I'm going to connect it to a keg and purge. I've got a keg full of stars on, so I'm going to use CO2 to purge that one out, so it's all ready to take your beer when it's done. Nice krausen on there, and a bit of a lava lamp going on. Going like crazy. Watch this all day. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I probably won't put up a grain to glass type video because I would end up forgetting. And I'll catch you on the next one.